Burnley on Friday. On the face of it, there's nothing to play for. Norwich aren't going to be in the playoffs, and they're not going to get drawn into anything. They don't want to be at the bottom.
Why are you so boring? Let's see.
How much have the individual players got to play for? Is there because you said something interesting at Plymouth? There's going to be some tough decisions. Over the coming weeks, months. How important is it for individuals if they want to be part of this future, or your future of the club?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Very important, and I will say there's probably a couple of main arguments here. I think first of all, they are all of them top professionals, so they go out there to compete, and that you could also see today. Even though, of course, I accept that we are far away from the playoffs at the moment, but we still believe if there's 1% chance, we take it. And that's how it is to be a professional football player. They will do everything they can, and they will do everything they can to the end of the season, 100%. So that's one thing. Then the next thing is, of course, a lot of them, they fight for an improved contract, another contract. They fight for showing themselves to the league and to other clubs. They fight for showing themselves to us. They probably also, have to find out, some of them, if this is the way of playing football that they think is the way for them, which is more than fair. So I think there's a lot of things going on the rest of the season, but I think most of them will be positives. I cannot really see why any of them should have any reason for not being fully ready to perform, even though we could end up in a situation with 2 or 3 games to go where there's nothing really to play for in terms of the standings in the table. But then there's still so many other things to play for. And like I said, after Plymouth, we have to take some decisions after the season when we have seen, especially all the players who were here to begin with, because we have to be fair to them. They were not selecting the head coach, and they were also not selecting the former head coach or the head coach before him. So they have to find their way in this, and we have to find out how well they develop to take those decisions end of the season.
In terms of, like you say, it's that, but also flip it around. Burnley, there's going to be an edge and an intensity because of the situation they find themselves in. But that's a good environment to put your players into to see how they react.
Yeah. I think every game at the moment they come with something a little bit extra. Saturday it was in Plymouth where they have everything absolutely to fight for. Friday will be another situation, and we also fight our own. We have our own ambitions, and we want to go to Burnley and again try to show how good we are and how good we can possibly be. I think there's many positives from this game that we can bring on to that one. Defensively, we look more and more solid, and I know we lost on Saturday. I'm not pleased about that, but it was still not too many. It was 2 big chances, and that was more or less it. West Brom, they had that chance at the end of the game, but again, not too much. So I think we're taking some steps, but we also want to see if we can go there and play some of the game that we did in first half out here today. Because that will be, I'll not call it an investment, but that will be so important for the group just to get that feeling for especially the future, rest of the season and next season, that we can do that, and we can go to difficult places and play our way of football. So there's many things from this game and the previous games that we will bring into the preparation for Friday.
And also, I'm sure part of that would be the game down here where you were very good and probably the dominant factor.
Yeah.
And again, that ridiculous free kick they scored, but they just punished you, didn't they, in terms of those clutch moments. But overall, you showed a lot of good things in that game. We
did, and we will definitely use a lot of that. So because I think, I was asked the question out here from another one, isn't it a little bit frustrating to be in that position where you actually play some really, really good stuff, but you cannot score? And I will actually say the opposite. I think I'm happy that we are in that position where we play some good stuff, but then of course the next step for us is to make even more points out of a performance like tonight, even more points out of a performance like we had against Burnley last time out here, where it was fair to say it was at least an even game and not a game that we should lose. But we lost it, and we have to take that learning, and we will bring that learning into Friday, knowing that it will be difficult and knowing that there will also be moments where we're probably not on top, where we have to do our maximum in terms of defending and supporting each other. But it's interesting, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And that edge that you couldn't quite find there in that really good spell, the first 30 minutes tonight, you're not probably going to get as many chances, and they've shown their goals against record is ridiculous this season, Burnley. So you have your clinical element to that performance has to be as good as it can be.
And we just have to keep on training, keep on improving in those small situations that can decide a game. Now I've looked at a lot of Burnley games recently, and they score some direct free kicks that are absolutely fantastic. The same guy who scored from that free kick against us last time. I would love Nacho to score on a direct free kick soon, because we have the same situations. So it's also details in the end product that we have to look at and see how we can improve that part, because that's really obviously where the game is decided, and Burnley have been good at doing that, and then of course knowing that it takes a lot to score against them. So we have to find our way. We have to find their openings, and we have to make sure that we can be a threat to them in big parts of the game.
Appreciate it's obviously just after this game, but how, and it will depend on the recovery element over the next 24 hours. But
yeah.
As we sit here, do you feel you'll need to freshen it up just in terms of the quick turnaround?
We have to, because there's some players with also injury histories that we have to look at. There's some players obviously that were tired out there tonight. A couple of players cramping at the end that we have to look at the next couple of days to make sure that we bring the most fresh players for that game. So there will probably be, if you take our preferred starting 11, if everyone was available, there will probably be some changes to that, because we need to look at who's fresh and who's available, and also the situation at the moment where we have 15 available first team players, I think, outfield players. So there's not too much to change between, but we have to find the ones that are starting the game in Burnley Friday night to be as close to 100%. And then of course it gives us another good situation, or a good situation that we can then bring on players from the bench, hopefully to impact the game a little bit later on.
Just a couple more if I can, Johannes.
Yeah, of course.
Too early for Jurassic. I mean, the way you mapped it out, it's not an injury, but you have to.
Yeah, but obviously, honestly, I don't really know, because he's 100% struggling with the intensity. He's struggling with the physicality of the league, but at the moment there's no injury for us to find. So is the timing right? We have to be very, very careful about it. We're all frustrated about the situation, and he is probably the one who's most frustrated about the situation. But we simply need to find the right timing for us to bring him on. I hope it's Friday, but I'm probably not too optimistic about it.
And just the other one, because you said you might need to go and scan him. Hovo, any update you can give us?
Yeah, unfortunately, that was an injury in the quad, so he will be out the rest of the season. So we still have to find solutions on that left back. So how are we going to deal with that?
And is that surgery?
We don't know yet, but the first scan showed that there's a quad injury, and then we have to go into more details, probably a couple of more scannings to just make sure that's what is it exactly we have to do. You always want to avoid surgery if you can. So we of course have to find out if there's any other treatment that would be better for him to do. But it's definitely rest of the season for him.
Clearly, obviously, blow for you and your squad, but blow for that lad as well, who'd come through and really showed he looked comfortable in the surroundings, his personality he'd managed to bring to the game.
Yeah, and it would be so good for him to be involved in the end of the season here for us. It would be so good for him to have an experience away against Burnley on a Friday night. But we not really waste time on that. We just need to make him ready and available for the squad again. And then he's a top professional and a top person, and he will have a very bright future in football. So it's just a matter of when he's gonna really, kick the door in and really take that position and make it his.
Thanks,
Johannes, the Jurasek situation is one that's obviously had a lot of the supporters talking, because we all saw that glimpse of potential when he played that afternoon off the bench, and he showed something there that people could be excited by. What we can't understand is why he hasn't been seen again, or what's with the regression. You'd think in that period, if there isn't an injury, that there would be steps forward, but it seems that you're not ready to include him or able to.
No, and that's why I'm also frustrated about the situation, because of course we've signed a player from another country, from a good club, and with big potential and also quality. And if I could bring him on, tonight, I would have done it. And I also appreciate and accept that there's frustration about that. We cannot really give a clear answer and say it's because of this injury or it's because this happened. But we saw after the whole game that he picked up an injury, and it took him some time to recover from that injury to be ready again. And he's still struggling with the fatigue in his body. He's still struggling to get through the training sessions for us. And my best answer to you will be that he's probably not body-wise ready for the physicality in the league yet. And when that's the case, then you have to be really careful about when you bring him on, because if his body is not ready, then the risk of picking up another injury, which is the last thing we need, that risk will become too high, and that's the reason why we don't play him. Because, I would love to play him. I would love to bring him on the pitch tonight, because he could be one who could change the momentum a little bit towards the end. He could be one who could do something on his own at the end. So 100% I feel you, and we do everything we can.
Johannes, you always give us very honest answers. How do you assess Norwich's away form going to Burnley? 2 wins in 16 is a damning statistic by anyone's reference point. How frustrated are you with that return from the side's trips away?
Yeah.
Why is it not better?
The reason why it's not better is because we haven't been able to play the form or the style of football that we've been able to play out here. So that's the simple question. It's been in too few games that we've been able to dominate exactly as we want to do it. And there's been too many games where it's been a little bit too open too early. I would say from a defensive perspective, we've also conceded goals too early in some of the away games. So the kind of the narrative in the game changes a little bit, where we have to chase and again do it without taking too much risk. So I'm of course not pleased with the situation that we have won so few games away from home, because I think we have a fantastic support every time we travel away from home, and I will be the first one to really love to give them a good experience. So it's 100% not something we do on purpose, not to win away from home. But I think that's probably the main reason we haven't been able to dominate as much as we can do out here away from home, and that's something we have to be able to do. And then when that's not the case, we then have to be able to compete probably a little bit more, be a little bit better in the game where it's about second balls and duels and more direct play. And that's also the fact that we've not been good enough in that part. That's, I think, mainly because we select some players that can play the style that we want to do out here, especially at home. But then going away from home, we cannot really make it click or make it work, and then it becomes a dual game, and that's not the favorite game for the players that we select. So we have to take some clever decisions Friday night. But still, I want to say I think there's been some good away performances also recently. I think the one we did in Hull was a good performance, and we should have won. The one overall we did in Blackburn was a good one. We should have won. In Watford, I think also up until they got the red card, we were the better team, creating chances in this game. So I think we've seen improvement, but probably not enough.
Okay, thank you, chaps.
Thank you.
Thank you.